Recording.
Okay, we'll call the meeting order at 5:30. Those here, Deputy Chief, Chief, Provine, Pirate, and myself, all of this. First thing on the list is correspondence. Okay, public comment from members of the district.
No, Pat Constantino and John Scanlon requested the connection, but neither one of them connected yet, so. Okay.
Do we have to do that audio or that disclaimer statement anyways, if it's posted?
No, you don't. You don't have to do the disclaimer, but you still have to do the roll call, everybody.
Okay.
Okay, no public comment.
I think it's a link or a phone number?
It's a link.
She's not getting it.
I've sent it 7 times. I don't know.
You're not getting it. You're not getting it. Not getting the email.
Not getting the email from me. I sent it to sel.consentino@hiltonnh.org.
Send it to
Oh, it's ST? Oh, that's why. All right, so I left out the T after the SELCONSTENEINO. Is that right?
Can you want to send it to me and I'll forward it to her?
All right. It's on its way to her. I spelled it correctly this time. You should, yeah. Undeliverable. Oh. It's on the phone. I sent it to you. I sent it to her.
I got a question on that. Is it possible to put the computer link right on the webpage? Why not?
Because it's weird. I haven't figured it out yet how to do that. Looks like it will be on there. Oh, well, it's stuff wrong again.
It's consent,
Consent deal, not two Ds.
Yeah, I sent it the first time with 1 T.
Consent INI.
That's what I did the first time.
That's what I always say when I spell things wrong.
So I spelled right.
Yes.
Oh, someone's coming.
I think this should all be out of hand. That's technology.
Let's wait in the lobby. Oh, all right, so, John Scanlon is out of here, so, well, it's 3935984. Yeah,
Unknown participant is now joining.
all right. Let's have some.
387,571.
Okay. I have a 3935984.
John Scanlon.
Okay, good. All right, so they're both here. Okay, we're good.
You okay?
Yep.
Okay. Where's that? Any public comment from any people? Okay, moving on.
Pat, can you hear us? John, can you hear us?
Barely, but it's pretty quiet where I'm at, so.
Can we just shut the service switch off on that?
Just did, it took seconds,
Just shut the blowers down, so take a second.
Okay.
No, no.
Can you guys hear us?
Yep. Is it better now, John?
It's better.
Okay, we'll go back to public comments from the district or employees of the district. I don't know if you guys got anything or not.
I think they're here for an article.
Okay, let's do the chief's report.
All right. First of all, with the budget, as you know, the 2019 audited unassigned fund balance was $562,058. The 2020 unassigned fund balance is yet to be determined. Total apparatus equipment funds through January is $811,057.31. Ambulance revenue collected in January is $43,917.01. The apparatus equipment funds budgeted in 2020 projection return, I'm projecting about $78,000 to be returned to the apparatus equipment fund. But that will be determined after the audit go through the study. As you know, we are 100% through the budget year of 2020, and we expended 97.8% of the total voted budget. As also you know, the 2020 books are still not closed yet. As I look at it, deficit versus offsets, we should be $32,000 in the black at the end of the year. Any questions on that?
Do you have a rough projection of what's not closed or what is still outstanding?
Anything that you were aware of that was still outstanding?
Yes. we just have items that, the items that you encumbered the funds for are still outstanding.
How many of those roughly?
It's, three. Offhand, I can't tell you right off, right off the top of my head what they are.
Any other reports going to be added to that? Okay, moving on to fire prevention report for January 2020. We had 44 fire prevention inspections. That report is included in the handout.
Can I ask one question on that? The new building up on Route 3 there, the Honda place.
Yep.
How often do you go through it? Have you been up there at all?
I've been up there a couple times. For inspections, minimal so far. I will pick up probably in the next month or two. But as far as like, most of the time has been spent on plan review.
Is that the only big place going up? I don't know if there's any others around.
Tnfd
Yeah.
is another one. I mean, there's a couple self-storage units, businesses that are going in, but nothing that really takes a lot of time.
Okay.
When UPS gets going?
That will take a lot of time.
Did I read somewhere that there's an addition off of one of the businesses on 140?
There is.
Yeah, FTM is going to put a
Yeah,
4,000 square foot addition on.
And I guess the other question is, when you do these, are anybody going up with it? Any of the other guys going up with this so they can, get a feel for it or know what to look for? Or?
It depends
I
on...
mean, these are commercial areas. I'm sure you're up to date with them, but are the other guys up to date with them?
It depends on the inspection. As of right now, no, again, because of COVID, we're really trying to minimize exposures. In a couple of weeks, it shouldn't necessarily be an issue, so we can probably start to try to do that some more. But for the most part, for the commercial occupancies, the new construction, I pretty much handle most of that.
Okay. Anybody got any questions on these sections?
All right, moving forward on the run report of January 2020, that report is also included in the handout. 2021. Oh, yeah. That's a lot of it.
Yes.
We had 139 incidents for the month. We had 100 EMS incidents, which showed 72% of our incident call volume for the month. And we responded with the ambulance 45 times.
When you say the EMS calls, so that's line 321 of EMS, but it also has a couple other in there.
Anything in the 300 range, EMS, mobile accident, anything with a 300 is considered an EMS.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. I was looking at the previous year. Okay.
Any other questions on that?
Did he attribute to the 40 call drop? This is what
Historically slow month for us, that's all I can say. Moving on, overlapping, simultaneous incidents for January 2021, there were 24 of them. This equates to 18% of the call volume for the month. Of the 24, we were able to respond to 22 of those calls. We received 4 mutual aid ambulances. We responded mutual aid with our ambulance 3 times. We received 3 mutual aid engine responses, and we'll respond with our engine force.
Kind of how it should look for receiving it.
So it's a deployment for everybody. Everything is fine.
I do have a question. You have fire dead.
Yep.
And I'm not 100% how this goes. The truck, the three guys,
Yes.
then they call for the tank.
Yes.
And there's nobody to I guess, I know a lot of towns back when I was on it, very seldom they got two trucks. Very seldom they sent more than two guys. They always kept a guy back. They always kept a guy back in the station in case there was another call.
That hasn't been our policy since that.
There's also back in the call force of 30 people.
Well, I know, but the only thing, if you have a second call, you got a full timer and you want to volunteers. Not on that, the tank can actually go. It didn't go.
Right, but you had an engine go with maximum crew. So they want water, but they also want manpower. So it's better to send an engine with 3 people on it that can be a working crew rather than a driver and an officer. But if they're going to use the pump for running water, then you just have one manpower possibly on the scene for all the other operations.
If you were with the new people enacted, for lack of a better word, would you have sent 2 at the first call, or would you have sent all 4?
No, I think it's
Three, one behind.
3 one behind.
So if that call for that tanker came in, could they hit that 4th person drop the tanker?
Potentially.
And that's the way it's going to work when you get 4 people.
For now, yeah, of course we'll evaluate that as we go along, but that's how we have to set up for now.
In all the years I was on here, we had roughly 30 people volunteers. In every town that we went to, they called us because we did. Guys were fighting to get in the truck. We had 8 or 9 guys that heard every call, and Franklin loved us. So did McCoy. It's just too bad it's, with the volunteers not there like they used to.
It's a nationwide problem.
And I understand that.
I was talking to Chief Dexter today, who was talking to one of his friends in Maine. I forget the name of the town, begins with an F. They have 100 people on their call department, but they still can't get the trucks out because nobody shows up. So it's 100 people just on a roster, but nobody shows up. And so now this department is, during the day, they have career people full-time during the day, and they're starting to hire career people for the nights too, because even with a roster of 100 folks, they still can't get the engine of the ambulance out sometimes.
I think some of it, though, it makes it harder and harder for volunteers to help. Not everybody is equal, let's put it that way. And you've got some guys that can drive, that don't like going burning buildings, some guys like to do other things and if you're not qualified to do some of the stuff, you can't do, sometimes they don't let you on.
Yeah, it's true. So we have a few folks that just do, operators of vehicles. We have a few that can do high DLH environments, and then we have a few that are only EMS. There's a little bit of everything.
But I just hope over the years they're going to get to the point where if you don't have all these qualifications, you can't be a volunteer. So that's what it looks like. It's getting to be over time.
Some departments are that way. We're not that way.
And I understand why. It's probably a safety thing, but all the years, very seldom do you hear about an accident. Well, I'm not going to say that. A lot of people, even volunteers and stuff, they're trained enough so they know what to do and what not to do. And a person should know what in their mind what they're capable of doing. I know when I got out of the fire service, I thought it was time for me because I couldn't wear a starting point. I didn't want to be, I wouldn't have built it. And I went in a lot of movies, a ton of them. And I didn't want to jeopardize my life for going in there and hurt myself, so I got out. And you know, that's what I mean. People, they want you to have all these qualifications, but you're not. And I hope you don't get one.
So for our call was here, we don't require anything other than to live in the fire district. Or like right on the edge of it. Because for starters, we want you in the district, and if you're not in the district, and you start in the district and you move out like the store right next to it, we'll keep you on. But for new folks coming on, you don't have any requirements, and if you don't have certifications, we'll send you to get those certifications. You know, a lot of times, we might make you wait a little bit to test you to see how, are you going to stick around, or are you just here to take a class and disappear when the class is only halfway in because something's changed and stuff like that. But I'm personally reviewing our policies and that to make sure that we're as open as possible, and I'm looking at changing one of them right now, but I still want to discuss that with the staff and stuff like that. But we're trying to make it as open as possible. And we can talk about it later when we get to the circuit. Tell you some of that stuff. Okay. All right. Apparatus, the lift pistons on each freezer replaced, so that's back up and operating normally. The air leak in the rescue rumble sticks, so that turned out to be the on-spot solenoid. It gets underneath and water those that just rot out after time, and that's where the air leak comes from. And again, we have 2 warrant articles, one for an engine and one for the ambulance, the 720 and 280 respectively. Moving on to COVID-19, no new employee unprotected exposure. All the members of Tnfd have received or been offered COVID-19 vaccination, and the program has been completed for everybody that's here. Everybody that wanted it has had both shots. So that's good. Now we're in the 14-day period post that, and then we'll be able to use up a little bit of some of our protection methods.
What about the 4 people coming on?
So I think one of them already has it, 2 of them.
Still have it by then.
Yeah, so we're working on getting that. The Center Street, we've reorganized, where things are in that station to make it possible for the new personnel, so that's all set and ready to go. As much as it ever will be. Park Street, as you know, we're putting the bathroom project off until after Christmas meeting. Fire top radio system, the tower that's going over here, is going to the zoning planning committee next. I think they're going to do it this month, but it's just postponed for next month.
Just not tomorrow next week.
No, it's not on the agenda.
Okay. Yeah, be March.
And the zoning board of adjustment process is completed there. And as I talked to you the other night, the state requires our surveyor to prepare another document on MyLab for recording of the personnel. We hired those 4 additional folks. The first one, Travis Gosin, is one of our call firefighters, so he's going to move from the call role to the permanent role. A career role, I should say. Fire Station Committee, with a warrant article for $100,000 for engineering and design. Hopefully that'll pass. There's also another warrant article to complete the land purchase for the frontage that's closer to the highway than what we have now. A little tidbit on that, talking to the contractor who's building the police station. The police station costs about $4 million to build. If they were to rebid it today, it would be closer to $8 million because the cost of construction material is nearly double. And so that's right now. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but right now building is going crazy everywhere, and so, construction materials are more of a really, I guess,
Well, the Canadian borders
difficult.
limit, that
Yeah.
limits a lot, so now your transportation costs are going higher.
So, some of the things I'm currently working on, safer grant implementation. The hiring process is complete. As you know, those folks start next Monday. The COVID-19 grants, we were awarded one. The other one is still in pending, so I don't know what the status of that is. Also, putting together a regional training grant for our facility here. I'm working with Deputy Hubert on that. It would be a regional grant that includes Franklin and Sanderson on some improvements to our training facility here. Also, another topic of discussion later on, the 2020 Safer Grant, reviewing the options, continuing to review and look at the 2021 budget. I sent out an email, if you were last week or this week, I can't remember now, of a PowerPoint for the year 2020 in review that I want you folks to take a look at and give me some commentary on that. It doesn't have to be tonight, we have another meeting before we get to that. Again, call company recruitment, and the final thing is the capital improvement program, as you know, for 2021, in our, those are not typos.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do that. I'm very busy. We have warrant articles for an engine in the ambulance, and next year we'll be looking to buy a new vehicle for the deputy. That completes my report.
The 2020 AFG grant, as part of that, are you looking at possibly a water supply if you can't work it with the water department, having a fix something on site?
The regionalized training grant?
Yeah. Kind of looking at that as another option.
But it includes the cistern and all that.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Okay.
Anything to add to that, Eric?
Not this time.
Okay, let's move on to old business. 2021 warrant article 17.
So at the last budget committee meeting, they changed the operating budget, which is Article 17. They added $650 to that to accommodate parts for the Opticon system, because we did get some action out of New Hampshire DOT and some estimates for parts to replace the things that are broken, and New Hampshire DOT has related to us that they will install those parts. So you need to relook and approve warrant article 17 as it's written.
So question on the Opticon for. We were putting money in to buy the parts, and then we were going to work on, and we were going to get New England or whatever to install. So now the state's going to install?
Yes.
So in the budget meeting, it was suggested by one of the members that we contact Senator Gaida for help, because we weren't getting a response from DOT. So we contacted Senator Gaida. He was able to make the right contact, get the chief in contact. So we went from a $6,000 expense down to $650.
You love it.
And the state is doing the majority of the work. Because there was a lot of discussion in the budget committee where we're paying for it, but the town uses it, lots of towns use it, lots of ambulance services use it, the state uses it, the county uses it. So this way, it's better that the state is going to be involved, because
Absolutely.
all these other people that use it, but yet we're not paying it.
So it's just parts, no police cruisers, street people or anything. It's just literally parts is our only part. I think that's a fair trade-off.
It's a great trade-off.
So you'll need to make a motion in a second if you want to recommend it.
So the number here reflected is the 5,000, 45, whatever, deduction down to the 650 or whatever.
Right, that is the correct number.
Okay.
Well, we had,
So the budget committee recommended 0 initially, you recommended the 6,000. So you have to, so warrant article number 17 has to be re-recommended by the commissioners.
It says it's recommended, but you haven't done it yet.
And is that reflected in the proposed budget here?
page 7,
Thank you. That's was going to be my next question.
so, 8 lines up. Ooh, that was pretty good, I think.
There it is.
I don't have this one.
I like that. Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept Article 17 as written.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved second. All those in favor?
John Seeley, yes.
All those are aye.
Eric Carter, yes.
Any more Sammys you can find?
You want to say that off this questionnaire till after the rest of the business?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Okay, new business. Tilton code enforcement.
All right, I guess I'll start this off. I was contacted by the Tilton Town Administrator, Jeannie Forrester, this morning. Jeannie related to me that she was just notified that the Tilton Code Enforcement Officer is retiring on February 12th, 2021, and wanted to know if I was interested in discussing whether Tnfd would entertain a discussion in performing code enforcement inspections for the town of Tilton. I told her that I'd bring the topic up tonight at the commissioners meeting, and that if a representative from Tilton wanted to answer any questions, that would be advantageous. I also related that this discussion really should be between the board of 5 commissioners and the Tilton Board of Selectmen, because there's be a big change in policy and stuff like that. And so a discussion between those 2 boards is really appropriate in my opinion.
I had a conversation with Leanne, who's the town planner, Lane, and she checked around today, and she felt like to have a discussion at this point is a little bit too premature, because from what she's seen, it's not a good fit at the current time, just based on most of the places that have fire do code enforcement are bigger towns like Bedford, Manchester, Hooksett. So it's bigger towns that have it.
Perfect timing.
Okay, we all set?
We're rolling? We're rolling. Today's January 22nd, 2021, the time being 5:31 with this meeting of the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS Budget Committee come to order. I'm going to read the checklist for virtual meetings. The chair of the Budget Committee finds that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to executive order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet in person and electronically. Please note that the physical location of the Senate meeting is Northfield Town Hall at 21 Summer Street, Northfield. If you're unable to join the meeting in person and wish to observe and listen electronically, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. We're utilizing Microsoft.
Unknown participant is now joining.
That's you, Charlie.
Hello.
Hey! We are utilizing Microsoft Teams for this electronic meeting. All members of the Budget Committee have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen, and if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following number: 1-603-370-3071. The phone conference ID number is 267-641-442#, or by email info@tnfd.org with the invitation to join the meeting on your computer or mobile app. If anybody has a problem connecting to this meeting, please email ktobine@tnfd.org. Okay, let's do a roll call vote for attendance. Dawson here.
Scott here.
Kevin?
Jason Wright?
Jane Alden.
Charlie?
Charlie Brown.
All right. Please let the record show that Eric Pyra has not yet joined the meeting.
He just joined.
He just joined?
He's coming in right now, I believe.
Okay.
Unpaid participant is now joining.
Eric?
Can we get him to do a roll call on here?
Eric, would you sign in as attending? Okay.
All right.
No. Okay.
Nice. All right. So let's do our minutes. January 15th. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at those?
Yes.
I looked at them online and found one spelling error. And I think, if I remember, it says Fells, and it should be Field.
Yes. I caught
Did you
that.
sign
When
it?
I read it, it was well.
Okay. That's all I found. Anyone else?
That's all I found.
Everybody read through them? With the shaker? Jason's reading. Oh, you weren't there, all right. Motion to accept the minutes of January 15th, 2021 as corrected.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Dawson, yes?
Scott, yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Jason?
Abstain.
Jane?
Alden, yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Eric? Did we listen?
No, he's still here. But he's going to be in and out. If he's working, he's
Oh,
working the
okay.
phones and stuff.
All right.
So.
Well, they're passed. Okay. Those review warrant articles. Now, are
You want to do this?
I got a
We got-
question.
Go ahead.
Just to clarify, I know it's on the minutes, but I'm just trying to get up
Go
to
ahead.
speed. So a motion was made to fund the hydrants to zero, and there was more yeses than no's, so we're recommending to fund the hydrants to zero on that contract. All right, cool. Sorry I missed that one.
There is no contract yet. It's coming up. It's in process.
Yeah, we had quite a
We're
discussion.
going to zero.
To fund it at nothing.
Wow, I love you guys.
Yeah, we didn't hear anything back from them, did we? Did they?
I had a call from Scott Davis yesterday. He asked to be here, and was giving me a bunch of information, and I'm sorry I didn't retain it, about why we should fund it.
Okay.
I invited him to come, and then when I talked to Kathy, she said that the commissioners had decided at their meeting to make it a warrant article,
Okay.
so there was no need for him to come to us. So I took it out of our hands.
Okay.
All right. So I'm looking through the budget and I still see things in yellow.
Those are all things that you changed when you were doing going through the budget process.
Okay,
And you asked me to highlight the changes you had made.
okay. And we got through the budget.
Yes.
The chief has asked me to, if we would, on page 7, reconsider under equipment maintenance and repairs, the Opticom repair, and he does have new information. Does anybody want to hear that, review it?
I'm all ears.
Jane? No? Charlie? Yes? No?
Say that again?
Do you want to look at the Opticom repair? The chief has said he has new information.
Sure, definitely.
Okay, I think that's the majority consensus. Is Eric still with us?
Eric, are you here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you want to readdress
Can you
that?
hear me?
Yes.
Do you want to
Do you want to readdress the Opticom repair?
I'd like to hear the new information.
Okay, good. Chief, would you?
Sure. So after our discussion, I think it was 2 or 3 meetings ago, you suggested that I contact Senator Guia, and which I did. Gaida. I've heard like 12 different ways of pronouncing his name. So.
Okay.
So I did contact his office. His office did contact the state DOT. They ended up coming out. They did all the diagnosis. They repaired some stuff that was on their side that they needed to repair. And it turns out that there's still some intersections that are not working properly, but they gave me a list of parts, which I put out, found out what the parts cost. And if you supply that line at $650, I'll be able to retain all the parts to repair them. And the New Hampshire DOT said they would do all the installation at no cost. So I'm requesting that be funded at $650.
All right. Yeah.
So I make a motion, because I kind of poked that hornet's nest in the beginning, to fund that line at $650.
And I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. Anybody have any questions?
At a budget of $2.5 million, there's $650 in there, trust me.
Anyone else? Questions? Charlie, Eric, questions?
No, ready for vote.
All right. So, Dawson, yes?
Scott, yes.
Kim?
No.
Jason?
Jason, yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Eric?
I've heard someone come up to his desk, so.
I think that's a yes. Motion carries.
Yeah.
And 1 no. So 650?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Now, are we done with this budget?
Yes. All you have left is the warrant articles.
We have approved all of the lines to give us a bottom line. We haven't left anything out.
I don't think so.
I always feel uncomfortable not approving the bottom line. Because it is a bottom line budget.
Okay, so the bottom line is $2,589,216. I do believe.
What page is that?
Page 10 or 11. Page 9.
I'm going to be seeing if I can't do it on the computer to make sure.
Sure. So the line where it says 2,588,566, you have to add $650 to that because of the vote tonight.
Yeah. What is it?
2589216.
All right, reviewing the warrant articles.
Just the ones in yellow, the only ones.
The ones in yellow you got the amounts to, is that what's going on?
Yes.
I had a meeting every night this week, so. All right, Article 5. We didn't vote on that?
No, because it was at 50, and then the commissioners took the input from the budget committee and raised it to 100.
Oh, that's the one that,
Yes.
we voted on it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it failed, right?
Yeah.
It failed. Okay. So Article 5, Atlanta Building Fund. Everybody have a copy? Do you need me to read it?
No.
Nope.
Thank you.
I have a question. So, it looks like there's a few things that are happening potentially out of the unassigned fund balance. Where does that put us in terms of the balance? And there's always that question of, are we at risk? Are we below a threshold? Do we have the recommended retainage or any of that?
So
I just don't want to get into that.
using last year's, what we know what the unassigned fund balance was,
Right.
subtracting everything that we're subtracting out of this currently, it brings us down to about 344,000.
Oh, okay.
But we don't really know what this year's current unassigned fund balance is because the auditors haven't come in yet, and that won't be until February 9th or something like that they're coming in, or somewhere in that area. But it would bring us somewhat below the threshold of what we're looking to do.
Right.
But I think there's money that's left over from this year that is going into this unassigned fund balance that will balance it.
Okay.
So you feel comfortable with it?
I feel
Yeah,
comfortable
okay.
with it.
Anyone else? We don't have a motion on the table, but. Motion to recommend Article 5.
Second.
All right, discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's vote. Dawson, yes?
Scott, yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Article 11. Why have we voted on it in the past?
This was again changed after the commissioners changed this warrant article after listening to the comments from the budget committee.
What did they change?
So-
I don't.
So what they added is that 50% of the revenue from the tower is to go towards next year's, to defray the cost of next year's operation. And then the other 50% is going towards defraying costs of probably a blind item, but they could use it for repairs of the fire station or radio infrastructure. And all three commissioners thought that that was a good idea, so.
Motion to recommend Article 11.
I'll second.
All right, discussion. I know there was a lot of conversation last week about this.
Well, I mean, I think it's the way they wrote it now, I think it's much better to have it split, so I feel comfortable.
Anyone else?
What was the original pitch?
None of it was gonna go in the operating budget, it was all just for bonding items.
Tower income to be used to offset costs of repairs, maintenance, construction costs, and bonds of fire stations, radio communication, infrastructure.
Okay.
That was it.
Some of those items are in the operating budget anyway.
Yeah.
This is kind of
Yeah.
all right.
All right, let's vote. Dawson, yes.
Scott, yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Jane?
Aye.
Charlie?
Yes.
Eric?
Eric, yes.
And Article 13. So my understanding was do they have a contract, or this is?
No, they do not.
What does the escape clause exactly mean, the way it's written?
So if the district, if this were to, if they did agree and brought this article was brought before the district meeting, and it does pass, then say in the subsequent year, one of the 5 years following, if the district meeting voted not to appropriate the money for it, that's the escape clause. So the
That would what?
not to appropriate the
The annual fee.
fee,
Yeah,
then that's how we get out of it.
okay.
So it'll be a separate warrant article every year to fund that line, and it ends up being in the operating budget, but it'd be a separate warrant article every year for that. The
Isn't that how it
annual
started?
fee.
It started out as a separate warrant article for a while.
It did,
Yeah.
and then in 2015 or 16, they signed a 5-year agreement,
Yeah.
and then it just went into the operating budget, and it was not voted separately after that. But the way this is a special warrant article, it has to be voted every single year.
All right. Right. Okay.
I mind you, they do not have an agreement yet, and it's the agreement, the proposed agreement from the water district. The commissioners had a number of issues with it. They wrote those issues down and sent those issues along with the proposed.
Which
agreement.
commissioners, water or fire?
The fire.
Fire commissioners, okay.
And it's in the hands of a lawyer right now to address all those, from the fire department side.
Yep.
And maybe probably the lawyer is probably going to redraft the agreement with the fire department's concerns contained within the agreement, because they were not addressed in the proposal from the water district.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So, are we in discussion after a motion and a second?
Well, you guys keep running into discussion before we have a motion to discuss.
Well, I'll have to decide if I want to make a motion or not.
Right, backwards, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can have the discussion, then you decide you vote yes or no. Okay, so, motion to recommend Article 15.
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay, discussion.
Right, so there's no requirement, and from my perspective, it's not even desirable to have an agreement. What this tells me is that, yeah, this is what we want to do, and at least for the next 5 years, we're not going to do anything to look to to lower this cost or to look for another source, such as another tanker truck, because for just over 2 years of this 5-year deal, we can buy another tanker. And I'd be the one to stand up at district meeting and say, maybe we ought to buy a bigger tanker. We can use the water in an emergency anyway. We have the ability to meter the water and pay for what we use. We are paying way more than for what we use at this $125 grand a year.
It's my understanding that
That's from the
you
get-go.
cannot, lost the word. You can't, so
That
this
happens to me.
5-year agreement,
I'm sorry?
you can't bind like 2022's town meeting. You can't make a
You
decision.
can't encumber
with
those
it.
funds.
No, you can't.
Well, it's not encumbering them, but you can't
Yes.
obligate them.
It's in this book, you actually can. I just looked it up.
Oh, it is?
Well, you
Because I
can't
thought,
do a
because that's where
bond.
when I came in here, that's where I was going.
Well, that's
Okay.
kind of the road we went
In
down.
this
We're trying to buy 2 fire trucks last year under one contract, but pay for one year and pay for one the other. And
Right.
we got all in the weeds on that.
So I know you can through a bond.
There's an allowance in this book for multi-year contracts. And it quotes case law as well.
Okay.
So when I came in here, that's where I was going. You can't do this because guess what? You're making them do something that they don't want to do.
Okay, good.
But I believe that is possible, but that doesn't change my argument as to, this is one cost that we have paid, how many $1 million
Exactly,
for water we don't even use?
exactly.
So,
And at one point,
Can-
this deal was actually 10% of the fire district budget and 10% of the water district budget. So they were just, you know what? I don't have to be nice. We are acting as a cash cow for the water district. That's all that is.
well, they do make repairs to the system for the hydrant, so it's not just water. But, so here's my question. Our conversation last week, we came to the conclusion that if there was an emergency, they would have to supply us with water. So if there's a hydrant, do they have to supply the hydrant with water? Because I've been told now, no, they don't.
Well,
So that might be something that we want to.
if there's already a fire hydrant there, what they can do is shut the fire hydrant off at the street, which would make it much more difficult for us to
Okay.
get.
But we
to
could
the
turn
water.
it on, right?
If we could find, if we know exactly where the valve box is, we can get the cover off the valve box, and we could open the valve then we'd have to buy our own valve wrenches to do that, which is not a big cost. But in the middle of the winter, in a snowstorm, when there's, a foot of ice on the street, it could prove to be quite a problem.
Problematic.
So what
Yes.
do you really think, realistically, the chance of them doing that? And then be willing to take the wrath of the public? For doing that.
I think it's unlikely.
Very low.
So it's not for us to debate here, but I brought it up because that was the conclusion we came away with, and that was why I voted the way I did last week. So I bring it up so that we know that now we have the yes, we can, and no, we can't.
And
Outside of this meeting.
this number here may change depending upon what comes back from the lawyer, and then if the water district agrees with the conditions that the fire commissioners are placing within the agreement or contract or intermunicipal agreement, and maybe they don't like what's in there and they want to change, so there's still time for negotiation, but
They can amend this on the floor of the meeting.
they certainly can. And the
Right.
commissioners are not going to sign anything until after the district meeting. At least that's the recommendation of our attorney and my recommendation to them as well. If they can bring the agreement to the floor, and this is our agreement, but don't sign it, because once the commissioners sign it, it's like the selectmen sign an agreement. It has to be, it's an agreement between two organizations and it's binding. because the commissioners can enter into contracts without the okay of the governing body. That's part of being a selectman. Part of being a privilege of the selectman, I guess. Authority.
Right, the budget committee can still reduce the budget by that amount, and then they'll be forced to look for it otherwise. But anyway, the motion on the table is to recommend Article 13. Any more discussion?
Well, I know I asked this last week, and I know there's no water up here, but I mean, do we know what where does the 125 come from? Is that just a fictitious number? Like, is there any data behind it?
It was back when it started,
That's been the
there was a tariff. When it was privately owned, before the water district was formed, there was a tariff system that was approved. And then when the water district formed, they immediately adopted that tariff as their own. So there was a fee schedule and all these things in place that were approved by PUC going way back. And then they immediately jumped on and said, oh, well, we have the right to adopt that tariff, so they did it. And it wasn't based on per hydrant. It wasn't, I mean, we were trying to, and I was on the first fire district budget, but we were trying to dissect this whole thing. Is it per hydrant? Is it this? Is that? No. And then it became just a number for a collective system based on what used to be a per hydrant fee. So they morphed that per hydrant thing and rolled it into one big, but at that point, not all the hydrants were flowing the same rate, and they went out and started color coding them and flow testing them, because we were buying a pig in a poke. And so that unearthed a whole other layer of, oh gee, we're paying for hydrants that are, 500 gallons versus 1,000 versus whatever, that were all flowing the same. It's been a mess for a long time.
So a little information, and this is from the water district side. They said that when they put infrastructure in the ground, size of pipe, hot fire hydrants, it costs more because of what fire department's flow requirements are than if they're just supplying potable water to houses. They wouldn't have to put anything more in than maybe 4-inch pipes instead of 8 or 12-inch pipes. But that's not really accurate either, because they have contracts with, J. Jill and the Tanger Outlet Mall and Home Depot and stuff that also require large flows, so they need large pipes for those as well. So,
And they're not obligated to do that. They're not obligated to put a 12-inch pipe in the ground. They can put in whatever they want.
they can. But if they have a contract to supply a certain amount of gallons per minute to J. Jill, or
Exactly.
then that's what they have to do.
But their contracts with those other private entities don't obligate us to buy their water.
And Home Depot's got a standing supply out in the back. They got an above ground water, and Lowe's does, and
Yep.
BJ's has a swimming pool in the basement, underground. So,
Yeah, there's a few cisterns out there for private use, yeah.
And there's just better ways to spend that money, period.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable for a maintenance fee, but I can't imagine maintaining and painting and fixing broken hydrants costs $125 a year. But not knowing, I just think that's too high.
I think the water district owns about 100 fire hydrants. There's a lot of private fire hydrants that are in like the Home Depot yard or Lowe's yard or
I mean, do they keep
Kohl's.
track of that, do you think? Like, do you think anybody from the water department would know how much they specifically spent on maintenance for hydrants?
I couldn't tell you. The water department doesn't even have a website, so.
They must know what they spend on.
They have an accounting system, I'm sure, because
There are
they're a special village district, just like the fire department, so they have to have.
There's two parts to the fire district. There's the fire district that supplies the water, and then there's a company within it
Oh, you mean the water?
water
district,
Yeah, is that,
that does all the maintenance and repairs.
yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to recommend Article 13. Any more discussion? All right, Dawson, yes.
Scott, no.
Kevin,
No.
Jason,
No.
Jane,
No.
yep, Charlie,
Steve?
Eric. You have 4 no's.
Well, those guys having dinner together or something?
No. Okay, carried.
Is he Ubering?
Right?
No, it's not Ubering.
Okay.
We have 4 no's,
Yeah, that's right.
1 yes and an abstention, that was carried. New.
So you are not recommending this one?
Okay, 14. Apparatus and Equipment Fund. So they put in, that's the amount that we
That's the amount you approved.
came up with. Okay. Motion to recommend Article 14.
Second.
Discussion. Anybody? Charlie, discussion?
That's exclusive of the trucks, that's just,
Right.
this is just for, gotcha,
The truck is.
Separate one.
separate.
Eric,
Is
any
there anything in
discussion?
here for the new truck or ambulance?
You mean equipment-wise? No.
All set?
Well, that's a good question. So the new engine, the 720, does that include hose and tools, or is that fair?
Well,
Just the
can we,
truck?
It may not, plus there's the logistics between this isn't the fire isn't the town, so there's logistics that way as well. So it's something maybe to discuss in the future, but not for what's going to be happening when the code enforcement officer leaves. Not like they can jump in and take it over. Can't happen that time.
So you want to table for now, or?
Yeah, you're right, I think it should be up to commissioners and go over this stuff. I mean, there's nobody here to represent them or anything, so.
John Scanlon's attending via Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, Pat Constantino.
She dropped off.
Oh. Let's make sure.
Okay.
So we do have representatives on.
But it's,
You're right,
I think we can start with a meeting between the two boards there to discuss that.
Great. If you call her and she can put the phone on speaker, she might be able to come in as long as she's not on the audio and get the
I'll
echo.
put it in there. I'll do it. Hey, Pat, with there. Hey, you dropped off the call. Oh, did you want to participate? No. Okay. Nope. Okay. All right, I just want to make sure because she saw you dropped off the call. Okay. Thank you. Her, that drop, if she wanted to know from the end was here, and Lean's not here, or nor is she calling in, so she is okay. So that is, I guess John is still on the call.
John, do you have anything to say?
No, this is really premature, and like the chief said, it's something that selectmen would have to bring up in the future.
Okay. So at this time, we'll table it.
Could you make a motion to table it, or?
Okay, 2020 Safer Grant.
So I also sent all the commissioners a notice of funding opportunity for the SAFER grant, the 2020 SAFER grant, and I poured over this notice of funding opportunity for the last week or so. I've talked several fire chiefs in the area as to what we can do with this. Specifically looking at a retention and recruitment portion of the funding opportunity. And what I've basically found out that if we were to get one of these, there is no cost share this year, same as last year. One of the other things that I've found is that if we were to go for a recruitment and retention, what would we do? So, and I asked what other fire chiefs do. Basically, one of the things that they use to recruit firefighters that we get some of the youth will pay for their training. We already do that. Then we'll pay for them to go. We'll pay them wages to go. Well, we already do that. So what else can we do? Well, you can do a tax abatement on your property tax. You can offer that. I said, well, we can't do that. I said, what else can you do? And it's mostly incentives like about training, bonuses for, a year commitment for these things and that things. The other thing that would also be possible is that, I forget which time I was talking to the chief, says that he read that that they would offer them health insurance. So that if we were to do that, we would have to set up a qualification, to qualify for health insurance. What are the minimum qualifications that we would be looking for somebody in the call role to fulfill that, so that we would be paying for your health insurance, or a portion of health insurance. And so I guess that's the only thing that I can think of that we could offer call people is health insurance. And I'm not going to offer health insurance without a discussion with the commissioners first, because it could be a very costly thing.
They talked at one time years ago about sort of like a retirement system for volunteers. You did so many years, and if you were active enough, you got a retirement. If you had to be active enough,
right?
They had qualifications. If you were active enough, you put in the time, and they would have some type of retirement. They never come up with anything.
Right. So there are some states that do have a program like that. New Hampshire's not one of them. And then the other thing I found out pouring through this is that no matter how or what we apply for within this grant, one of the things that they judge you on, high priority, a medium priority, and a low priority, is how you fall into either an NFPA standard called 1710 or 1720. And how would you improve if you were awarded the grant? What's your improvement? And given that, before and after the grant, if we were to get health insurance, we would still fall in the medium to medium-low priority level because of what we do have here. So, writing a grant, asking for a retention and recruitment program would not be, in my eyes, any successful. I think it would be eliminated. It would be even automatic where the computer grades it and then it goes to a reviewer. It would be eliminated in the computer portion because of where we would fall in the priority scheme of where FEMA is looking to fund people right now.
We looked into it, and I just remember that 2018 had some combination opportunities, but
so
you are restricted on what you can do.
We would fall in the combination, and we would fall under 1720 because we choose not to do 1710 because we'll never comply with 1710. The 1710 is really for full-time career fire departments or combination departments that have it's still very large, like some of the counties in Maryland where, they have, several thousand volunteers, but also several thousand career firefighters within the ranks, and they can meet the 1710 standard for response to emergencies, whereas we'll never meet it without hiring a whole ton more firefighters, and I don't see that in the cards. So we follow 1710 guidelines, which is for a combination of volunteer firefighters, and that's more of what we are on.
Look at these. That was the main thing.
Just so you're aware, the state has kind of recognized the issue as far as getting people trained to be able to function on a fire department. So the curriculum for firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 has changed pretty dramatically with a significant reduction in hours. And now they're more like streamlined. Like firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 is pretty much the old firefighter 1 hour applies. Firefighter 2 now is 40 hours with a lot of online and blended learning running on. So the Association of Fire Chiefs and some other organizations pretty much said, hey, listen, we're not getting anybody. And, even to get them certified, it's taken 2 years. And it's costing a lot of money. And so they listened and they have adjusted, and that new program is now just started.
So it's going back to like the nighttime courses and stuff.
They still always have the nighttime courses, but it was,
they were much more
280 hours for a firefighter 1 program. And, that's tough for somebody who's married who has kids who's trying to make that commitment. It's just not going to work. But even somebody who's just single and has a full-time job, it's still challenging. So they've recognized that and they've streamlined it quite a bit.
So maybe you guys are not aware, but Deputy Dugan is on the statewide committee that oversees that. I think it's a tip of the hat to Deputy Dugan, and it's a feather in our cap until we're not to a fire department, that we have a member of our department on that committee.
Draw people in somehow. Looking down the road, not wanting to spend money, but like you said before, the Explorer program is a potential, and the high school is looking at possibly revamping their
We do have a student.
vocab program. So
we do have a student.
You got a student from college?
Yes. Both. Graduated high school early and is in the town.
Yeah. But Winnisquam High School is looking to become a feeder for Lake Region Community College. So once again, that's just for outside support elements, but it's still to draw people in that, and then when they turn 18.
Yeah. So, as I said, I talked to a lot of the fire chiefs in the area about that, and get down to like 9 active qualified. We don't want to. I have 6. Seven can have 11. It's just a nationwide problem where people who are in the age here bracket that we would like to attract, the late teens, 20s, and 30s, their life priorities are just different than what they used to do, and they commit their time to other priorities than, getting $20 an hour to get up in the middle of the night and take somebody to the hospital in the morning. They'd rather spend time with their family or doing something else. A problem nationwide, and we're always trying to look at ways of what we can do to attract more people to it. And, so I've gotten some ideas from that, and so I've talked to the staff, and maybe we can adjust some of our policies a little bit to help attract or retain some of the folks that we have. Anything else?
No.
Well, the next one, I guess, I can't give you this today. It's for me to sign. decide. However, if you have questions on here, I'd like anybody to read and see if they get any questions through it. I mean, they're simple questions, yes or no. Most of them, I think I know, but,
I can help them. What you have to take care of.
oh, you do? You got
Dawn as well, yes.
Okay.
Everything how I
If you
can-
don't, I got a copy here.
Yeah, it is, when did you email?
Right.
Oh, hold on.
Here, it's fast.
Well, if you want to read it,
That calendar, then you do,
No?
today, right?
Yeah, it is today.
February 2nd. Groundhog Day.
I got one. It is from the auditor, so it's all just questions.
Yeah, no. I got it in Kathy Control.
Oh, well. Well, if I didn't want to do one out, I would have thought
that's number 4.
Yeah.
That was when I circled that I was going to ask a question on.
Never even heard of it. Well, no.
What was the question?
Do we have a universal Corvette?
Yes.
And then the policy book, and our policy manual somewhere.
That's not policy.
We don't authorize payroll.
No, you gave that authority to Chief years ago.
Can, at some point, you send us the disaster recovery plan for interruption of IT functions, so that we can say yes at that point?
Sure.
Charlie, you're gonna have no phone.
That used to be a problem, but now it's all.
Right, I know we switched over to the new one. But it's just asking if the board is aware or approved of, or just seeing what it was.
It's really simple. I pick up the phone and I call Mainstay, and they go to the cloud and bring it all back.
As long as we get it written down as such, that's the main thing.
Look, Gatsby, number 54.
Oh, Gatsby?
Yep, I'm there now.
That's the government accounting
Standard.
system.
Yeah, standard deal or something like that.
Yes.
And then what's crowdfunding activities?
What?
Crowdfunding, number 15?
We don't do that.
We don't do that.
That'd be like a GoFundMe or.
Okay.
or-
Yeah, just asked if
I
we
believe-
have any knowledge of any of those, and that's why I'm just asking. We don't, okay.
Well, no, but that, like if, they did, they were doing a fundraiser, and that was done through the, like, someone opened up a Venmo account, that would be that type of thing, where it's not operated by the district, it could be, you know, you go and put something on, out on the interwebs and say, I'm gonna. you know,
On behalf of Tilton Northfield Fire Department, please
Yeah, I'm
donate this
gonna
money and
help
I'll
them
get them
buy
this.
I'm gonna help them buy, build a new station, so donate here.
Got it.
You have to go to the Caribbean, other people?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you're gone and we're all up. Do you need that, or do you have that?
I read through it.
All right. This piece of paper I need. Good luck filling out that.
Which is yes and no.
No.
There's a couple of yeses in there you want to be careful of.
Yeah.
I saw a couple on page
There's
2 that you want to write yes.
Please describe.
Okay, I'll fill it out carefully now.
All right.
Is that name?
It is. And every year they throw something else in it. It drives me crazy.
Or the auditors coming next week.
Next week, Wednesday.
Or new hiring,
Yeah, it's going to be a very busy week.
hearing.
Okay, let's move on. Review the minutes, January 6th, 2021.
You've got grant-funded
Yeah.
training.
What's that?
You've got the grant-funded training for a
Oh, I'm
safer
sorry.
position.
Grant permitted training for the safety position.
All right, so I know when we had the discussion, you approved the hiring of the safer positions, that we had a discussion about additional training for those that you folks did not want us paying any tuition for any of these new folks. So what I'm bringing before you, if we get a grant that allows us to pay for the tuition for these new folks for, say, swift water training or something like that, would that be okay?
My 2 cents is it would be a case by case to see what the backside of the grant, if there was any obligations and things like that. So advance notice of it would probably be better because obviously, okay, so the grant will set them up for this training, but the department has to buy them additional equipment to have it on standby for that. So it'd be based on the pros and cons of before and after, because a lot of times grants are a great doorway to get into, but then the baggage comes in too. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to say about the same thing. I mean, it's nice to get grants, but something costs you. Nothing is free in this world.
Well, it could be. I just want to make sure that we exercise and make sure that we're aware of the costs in advance.
The state fire department received a grant 3 years ago. And I think it runs out at the end of 2021 for technical rescue classes. So we've been asked if we would be willing to host a swift water class where the tuition is paid for through that grant. So there's no matching for us or anything like that. But you are right, there could be some alternative costs after the class is over. So that's one that we've discussed so far.
Yeah, and given that example, say the class is held in the fall or whatever, and we certify a bunch of new folks in swift water the following year, I'd probably want to get them their own, dry suit and things like that, but it wouldn't be in the same fiscal year, because it wouldn't be budgeted for that. Unless there was a grant to do that as well, but I don't see any of those up there right now.
If you order in the next 10 minutes, you'll get 2 for the price of 1. Just pay shipping. How much is shipping? Oh, $50.
Yeah, that's the biggest concern with that because the way the fund was set up, we got very lucky with the 75% coverage by the government on top of it. I mean, it's an incredible benefit, but they're paying for them to be firefighters and EMT basics. So above that is coming out of our pocket, and there's such mixed feelings on the safer grant and the personnel role of that, that all of a sudden the department paying for trainings, which would benefit them, yes, but like you said, then now you're looking at buying them dry suits and all that, so that's increasing to the budget. That's not part of the firefighter response of the safer grant, and just for that 3 years, and that's part of like a committee, or getting a committee started to figure out a viability. I think that would be part of something to look into for that training, because it'd be great to have more trained, but at the same time, it'd be more cost to the public. And I think we'll probably hear about that a little bit, potential more cost. Yes, yes, it's a better way of phrasing it. Because, I mean, if like you said, if the grant happens to work great for it, or by posting it, you're able to get 4 people into the class for free. Definitely some pros and cons to that. I mean, as long as it washes.
Sure. So I just want to make you aware that there's opportunities out there, and I may be coming before you with specific requests before I do anything going forward, because I know it's kind of political.
I'd be in favor, as long as it's discussed in advance. I would stand by that. And
No problem.
the pros and cons of it and lay it out.
Yep.
That's fine.
Anything else?
Not for this, I'll go for any other business.
Okay. Review the minutes of January 6, 2021. Everybody? There you go.
Huh?
Did you read the minutes?
I did. And I didn't have anything that jumped out at me. I don't have them with me because I read them on my computer.
Yeah, did we already approve the 13th? Because I got minutes here for the 13th as well.
Is that a budget meeting? No.
Commissioners meeting for the 13th. Did we already approve that in the past?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
I don't know how
that's-
you missed the 6th, but somehow
Okay,
it happened.
all right. That's kind of what I was looking at. Okay. Let's see this. I read the 20, I'm good on that one.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes, January 20th, 2001, as amended.
I'll approve the minutes of 2021.
Okay, 21, I'm sorry. There's a new one. I'm just reading them. I'm trying to,
20 years.
I don't want to age too much. If they move second, all those in favor?
Johnson, yes.
Fire, yes.
All those yes.
I'm good with 6.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes, January 6th, 2021.
Fire, second.
If they move second, all those in favor?
Johnson, yes.
All those yes.
Eric, fire, yes.
Any other business?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, I got a phone call the other day. It's probably more related to the budget, but related to the water department. And you have mentioned in the past that there's a law saying, an RSA saying that they have to provide water at sea. That was not the impression I got from a member of the water department.
No. The RSA is if there's water available, we can take it.
Well, they're saying that they're going to be shutting the hydrants off, so they won't be accessible based on that. Basically, we pissed off the water department. So,
I think, well, I know we have discussions with the water department on what we think would appropriate, reasonable accommodations for both sides. I think the commissioners put forward, agreed to the sum that the water district put forward. I think really only our condition to that was that we'd be able to use the fire hydrant here or another water supply for training purposes, which is very important. And so we took all those concerns and agreement that they sent to us. We've sent them to our attorney for him to pour over and probably redraft a new agreement with our concerns involved. I sent an email to him either today or yesterday. He hasn't replied to that email saying where is he at in the process of that. So that's kind of where we are right now.
well, they're upset because we took it, it's been removed from the budget and put it as a warrant article. So,
We're putting it out to the public.
It's a brand new agreement, so it probably should be a warrant article anyway.
yeah.
Is that the reason why? Because it's in
That's one of them, yeah, you know.
It was hard because the budget committee took it, they zero funded that line.
Right.
And
So if this doesn't get approved, if the warrant article doesn't pass, there's nothing.
Right.
We have no backup. Whereas if it was left in the budget, we could at least remove it from the budget if the warrant article passes.
That's not doing good faith on the public. That's trying to sneak the stuff around.
But it's the budget committee's budget and they zero
Right,
that
no,
line
I
out,
get
so-
that, so.
So are they going on record that they're going to shut the hydrants down?
I don't think they've gone on record saying that, but, see what they say.
Are they going to put something in writing for us then, to notify us ahead of time?
I don't know. It was hard because I was having the conversation at work,
No.
and, you know, hold on for a second, you know.
So, with that question, was this someone in charge of the water department?
It was a commissioner,
One commissioner?
yeah.
The chair of the commissioners?
I don't know who the chair is. So. I don't know who the chair is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. So. But. Just passing along the information that was received.
Okay.
Chair of my fellow commissioners.
Yep, appreciate it. If they call back again, could you probably direct them to the chair and ask them to put it in writing?
Sure.
You know, I don't see how, well, I guess, I don't see how they got the authority to shut it off. I mean, it belongs to the town.
It belongs to their
No.
district. They're
No,
a
it
private
belongs to the
entity.
district.
Okay, they're different.
They're an entity.
It belongs to them, the Tilton Northfield Athletic Company. Very confusing here because we have four things in place: 2 towns, a fire district, and a water district.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all separate entities.
Yeah.
Neither the town of Tilton nor the town of Northfield have any say in the operations of the fire department, nor do we have any say in the operations of the town. Likewise for the water district.
But the people who pay for that have right say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they have the water district has a district meeting, annual district meeting, just like the fire district.
You're right.
town,
Yeah.
you know,
Could you pull up that emergency use RSA at some point and send it to us?
Yes. RSA 154, I just forget which section it is, but
All right. No, that's good.
it's very lengthy on its own.
I was given several examples of towns that pay for pressurized hydrants for their water district because they're owned by, their water is run by Penachuk, and they receive a fee for pressurized hydrants in those towns. Pittsfield being one of the closer towns, which I had originally looked trying to find that information, and I couldn't find it, but I was guided to the PUC website.
Because the concern I would have is that if, for some reason, it did go to this, they would have to flag every hydrant is out of service
Yep.
for the liability.
I think you'd have to, I think you'd have to actually dismantle fire hydrants because those lines are not just supplying hydrants, they're supplying suppression systems for commercial occupancies.
Yeah, you kind of have it.
And that's,
Then there's a number of fire hydrants within that are privately owned as well.
Right.
passing along the information.
No,
For all of us to digest,
appreciate passing it along.
because I'm sure it's going to come up that are here.
Okay. Well, appreciate the advance notice.
Any other business?
Say a little announcement.
Go ahead.
I don't know if anybody's familiar, but the Fontaine family, who's lived in Tilton for their whole lives. Thomas Fontaine and his son Jack were living in Guilford and last night lost their home.
Oh, is that gonna depend on how you vote on this
Well,
one?
it's just curious.
So, the new engine is, we're taking, whatever, when that arrives, everything that's on engine 3 is just going on the new engine. So, at this time, we don't feel that that engine needs anything new that we don't already have.
So we already went over this in the budget, right?
I didn't hear.
Yes.
Yes.
Voting for what was in the budget. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, let's go. Dawson, yes.
Scott, yes.
Kevin?
No.
Jason?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
All right. So the operating budget, that number changed.
Yes.
It was down.
2,500,000.
Purpose, there it is. So, this is not a warrant article.
But it is your budget.
Right, but it's not a warrant article. So, if I were going to make a motion right now, it would be to not recommend. Because we can't change this amount. Or,
The amount that's in there is what is your number.
but these warrant articles are the commissioners. They are not ours.
Right, but it's your budget, so it's your budget figure that goes into this warrant article.
Right, but it's not in there now. So I was going to say we could make a motion to approve Article 17 in the amount of what we've approved for a budget.
We could do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then let the commissioners change their warrant article. Would everybody be comfortable with that motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve Article 17 in the amount of $2,589,216. Or I say recommend.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Is that very clear what my intent was? Okay.
Yes, very clear.
Charlie, Eric, any questions?
Nope.
Eric, do you understand what I just did?
I was not able to listen, so I'm sorry.
I just made a motion for Article 17, and I stated the amount that the Budget Committee has approved so that the commissioners could change it.
But we can't change it.
These are not our warrant articles.
That's right, we cannot change that.
Right, so that's why I made the motion the way I did.
I don't know if that flies. Because we're voting on something that's not there. We're done, we were done with the budget at 2,588,566. We were done with the budget.
But
This warrant article is printed. If this was left to be determined, I think we could do what we're doing. But because it's not, we either recommend that number or nothing.
Well, so here's the other part of this. The commissioners would have to meet to change that before the public hearing, right?
Yes.
right, they have a meeting on the 2nd of February.
Okay. But I think the motion
And
I
the difference
made,
is $650.
I know, but the motion I made is contingent on, if this number doesn't change, then we're not recommending this one.
No,
We
you're
would
right.
recommend this one with our amount in it.
Right,
Okay,
I totally understand what you're doing.
okay. I've never done it before, not in 20 years.
And they can, if they vote on this number, then it can be changed there and we would recommend it,
Right,
correct?
If they change the number to 2,589,216,
That's what.
then we recommend it. If they don't change it, then they don't have a vote either way,
Yeah,
okay?
yep.
Okay, I understand what you're doing.
All right, sorry it's convoluted, but,
I don't either.
okay. Any more discussion?
So we're not voting on the warrant article as written.
Not as written now. Like I said, if they don't change it, then they don't have our recommendation. They don't have a no or a yes. They don't have, for, as it stands, Article 17 in this draft warrant. They don't have either way from us. If they change it and we vote yes, then they do.
Correct.
Okay?
You understand?
Oh, I get it, I just don't think it's right.
Yeah, I'm a no either way, I don't care what the number is. I don't agree
We're
with
not-
the budget,
Okay.
so.
Let it go.
Our job is because we're done with the budget. We are done at 2588566. We are done with the budget.
No, actually, we're done with the budget tonight because we went back and reconsidered an amount.
For the
The
outcome.
majority voted and approved it,
That's my fault.
so our bottom line is 2589216, it's not this amount.
That's done.
That is correct.
All right, let's vote. Dawson, yes.
Scott, yes.
Kevin?
No.
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 Yes.
Jane? Yes. Charlie?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Okay, so that flies. Or passes. Okay. I think we are done. So, does anyone have anything else about the budget of the warrant articles they want to talk about? Before we talk about the public hearing. Okay, so the public hearing. I know it's the commissioner's public hearing as well. But for the budget committee location, we have to, regardless of where we are, if we end up at the Park Street station, are you able to pull equipment out to make room?
Yes.
Okay. Is it heated? I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay. And you're able to set up proper audio?
It'll be just like this, with the microphone and the speakers.
Well, I know when we had our first meetings there was problems with the audio.
We didn't have those tools.
Okay, and you'll have audio, so if we have people attend, the public, they'll have a mic they can speak into?
We don't have that. They have to get near enough so that this microphone can pick it up, and this microphone can pick up up to 13 feet away.
Well, the number of commissioners and budget committee members and staff, how are they gonna do that and stay 6 feet?
Take turns.
Pardon?
Take turns, like they do at the district meeting. Everybody gets a chance to microphone.
But we put that kind of centrally located so they can hear all of us.
We'll have, there'll be an opening where they'll have to come up and stand so that the microphone will pick them
Okay,
up.
but you can fix that. You're
We'll
marked.
put the tables in a circle or something.
Okay.
And leave a pathway to the microphone or something. We'll just
It's going to be a repeat of the district meeting. What's going to be?
And what time will it be?
It starts at 6 o'clock. The commissioners decided 6 o'clock.
Which day?
It's a Monday, February 8th.
I haven't done a public hearing, so the party did the budget for years,
And we
so.
don't know yet for sure where it's gonna be. But you will let us know.
Yes.
Yes.
Just lost my thought, I'm sorry. Oh, so my question is there any reason for so the budget committee, actually, take back that, is there any reason? Yes. The public hearing is for us to gather information from the public. I don't mean to lecture you, but, and then deliberate on that and make a decision on whether we are going to, at that point, reduce any part of our budget. So, do you feel we need time set aside to do that? And how long did you give an end time for the public hearing?
There is no end time.
And what is the commissioners, how long is their public hearing going to last?
As long as it takes to read the warrant articles.
Okay.
It kind of works like district meeting, because everything is like, the commissioners do their, to do the warrant articles, and then when it comes to the budget, they read the warrant article, and then you guys take over because it's your budget. So.
We've never had a joint public hearing with Selectmen and Tilton. I'm just trying to figure out how we deliberate on the input that we received that night.
You can have another meeting, if you wish.
Yes, we could.
You could.
It would just be easier to have it,
I know.
My last recollection of doing that previously was not a lot of people. There was some questions and answers about a few hot spots here and there, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a real exhaustive thing.
Okay.
And, I think it was more of an informative.
Okay.
Folks asked, "Hey, have you thought about?" Or
Okay.
I just remember Wayne Crowley having some questions about phones and
Okay.
some of the things that are in his wheelhouse and some.
So do you,
I don't think there'll be much need for
did you,
deliberation.
Yeah, it
because this committee has shown time and time again, zero interest in reducing the budget.
so do you feel that at the end of the public hearing, I mean, if we don't get any public, we can hold it open for 5 minutes and close it, but do you feel there's time afterwards to, if we need to?
There's no end time to the meeting. We could stay there all day.
Yeah.
We always end a public hearing. You don't let it hang, you open it and then you close it.
That's right.
So once we close it,
But it's not like it'll be on for 60 minutes and then we're done. There's no pre-established interval for the length of the meeting.
We could deliberate for 5 minutes or 5 hours. There's no end time. There's an opening and closing to the public hearing, but
well, it hasn't been said, I understand that, so we, the budget committee, will have to close our public hearing. And then what I'm saying is at that point, we could, depending on what input we have, decide whether or not we need to change anything or not.
There'll probably be plenty of time that I need for you to do that. If you will.
Okay,
So
that's what
after the public hearing, I'm sure there'll be plenty of time for the budget committee to meet and deliberate if so need be.
If we need to, okay, that's what I'm looking for. All right, anything else you want to have a conversation about tonight? No? Charlie? Eric?
Well, I have one question or comment.
Okay.
Well, we have, it's kind of the end of every year meeting, of which I've had about 3. There's an unexpended fund. Did we play football with that for a while?
I'm sorry, I can't hear what
Yeah,
that device echoes in my ear.
Something about an unexpected.
Well,
the unassigned fund balance, unexpended.
There you go.
Yeah.
Remember last year we hotly debated that.
Yes.
That was a district.
I don't think that's going to be an issue this year.
And I remember seeing a report on, like, this is the projected balance, and this is the balance at the, beginning of the year. So that's not something we need to talk about?
Charlie, if you remember, there was an issue of, there was raised and appropriated money for
building or something, and then because we didn't do anything, or architectural or something, and then it lapsed, and then the commissioners wanted to raise and appropriate the same amount of money again through taxation, and that's what really took us into the weeds on the unassigned fund balance, because the money that we had raised and appropriated the previous year expired, went into that fund. We wanted to rescue it from that fund rather than tax the people again for a second time for the same thing.
Right.
Right?
That's not an issue, this year. It is what it is, and it'll be 400 grand or whatever it is, and
Well, it's not a budget committee issue, it's a voter issue.
Right.
okay, I'm good then. I don't know why I wanted to prolong the meeting, but I just had that thought.
Good question. Good thought. All right,
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
roll call vote.
Yes.
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 I've been going back.
Wait, was she doing?
I just,
Yes,
I
she
started.
I was so
It's supposed
anxious.
to say
that it
Jason,
failed out.
yes.
Jason Wright, yes.
Kevin,
Scott, yes.
Dawson, yes. Charlie,
Yes.
Eric,
Bye.
Eric.
I'll vote for proxy.
Well, motion carries.
Yeah.
We have a majority. All right. Nice work, everybody. Good night, everybody. So, we're not gonna meet again until the public hearing on the 8th. You will let us know where it is, right, the time and date.
To a chimney fire. Thomas, the dad, single dad, he didn't even have a pair of socks to wear when he got out and lost everything. He's a veteran of the war over in Afghanistan during one of the really difficult times in that. And yeah, they're looking for a little bit of assistance from anybody. They do have a GoFundMe page for he and his son. So it's Thomas Fontaine. I think I'll probably put something on the Total Northfield Talking, but just I don't know if anybody else is aware of that.
Thank you, John.
Yep, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's it.
Monday morning?
That was the fire for Monday morning, right?
Yeah, I guess it was what last night at about 3. Yeah, in Guilford, right up at the end of past the airport, you know, like where it tees off.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, we were there.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yes, I appreciate that.
And that's it. Thanks. You guys do a great job. And, you know, I can have to admit this is the first time I've attended a meeting fully. And I'm really grateful for you guys and certainly recognize your frugality, I guess you'd call it. And appreciate everything you guys do.
Well, thank you for joining in.
Starting off the year strong. Yeah. 1.5 months.
So the next meeting we have is the public hearings on February 8th here, starting at 6 o'clock.
Here?
Here,
Okay. Monday the 8th at 6 o'clock.
at 6 o'clock.
Got it.
And then the next regular meeting after that will be March 2nd. But between, there were no petition warrant articles today, so I will be finalizing the warrant now that you've approved, recommended Article 17. So that way I will have everything with me, hopefully, so that you can sign it at the end of the public hearings. Otherwise, you'll have to have another meeting in order to sign everything, so that it can be posted.
Thank you. Oh, one other thing for other business. That letter was really nice. I saw the letter that you emailed, the copy of, and I hope the department, they appreciate that, because it really spelled it out nicely. So it was nice to see.
Thank you. I've had a couple comments on it too. Very nice to send that back.
Yep.
So people would
Oh, man.
throw it in the hat.
Yep. Appreciate that.
Any other business? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:40.
Second.
All those in favor?
John Silly, yes.
All those
Eric Tyler, yes.
Thank you, John.
Okay, thanks, bye-bye.
Bye.
I can take this stuff back after. I won't be in until 8 o'clock tomorrow.
You won't?
Wow.
Oh,